Hello again. I'm Jim Alcon, editorial director of BookTrib, and we're here today to tell you about a very special book. The name of the book is SHIRAZ SYRAH, a collection of delectable Persian and French cuisine. And I'm here with our guest, author and chef, Mina Abdi. Hi, Mina. How are you?
Hello. Good. Good morning. How are you?
Well, I'm fine. I'm glad you could join us. But before we start, I want to jump in and read. I want to read part of the introduction of the book. It really encapsulates what it's all about, and I think it'll help frame the rest of our discussion. Here we go. This cookbook encapsulates a lifelong passion for Persian and French cuisines and makes them accessible for everyday enjoyment. Discover exquisite flavors that transcend time and place, bringing two worlds to your kitchen. SHIRAZ SYRAH celebrates culture, love, and the pure joy of exceptional food. I'm telling you, I read that, Mina, and my mouth starts to water. For the average at-home chef, I just want to say, and then we'll get into the questions. French and Persian recipes might seem kind of daunting, but really, in the book, you do an excellent job of making these recipes really doable, even for a novice in the kitchen. And you cover everything, and we'll get into some of this, everything from soups, salads, appetizers, main dishes, desserts, you name it. It's all in there. So let's jump right in. Just initially, Mina, why don't you tell us about, your background and your journey to become a chef, why you were particularly drawn to Persian and French cuisine, and a little bit about how it all happened.
Okay. Well, my heredity is Persian. I'm originally from Iran. So I grew up with Persian food, and I loved cooking from an early age, and I started cooking. And then I grew up, it was in our culture, it was food was a very important part of life. We cooked and together and ate together every day and used every opportunity to cook together and celebrate. So it was a big part of our life. And I learned Persian cooking pretty well. But when I wanted to become a chef, my parents wanted me to go to college. So I went to college, and my first career was not in cooking, but I never forgot my love of cooking. So after some time, I went to French culinary schools, and that's why I'm connected more to Persian food through my heritage, and French cook because I went to French culinary schools.
I would imagine too, just growing up, in Persia, just the aromatic street food. It just seems like you're always around food and those wonderful aromas, right?
Yes, food is almost part of our identity. You walk on the street, the smell of kebab coming from all these kebab houses make you really hungry, or roasted beets on the carts on the street, and Persian saffron and rosewater ice cream. You kind of see and smell food all over, and you naturally become a foodie.
After this interview, I'm going to go upstairs and have my sandwich for lunch. I'm going to be depressed. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the title of the book, SHIRAZ SYRAH. Where does that come from, and what does that represent?
Well, Shiraz is a very old city, historical city in Iran, and it's the city where all the famous poets come from, where Persepolis is, and it's been also where winemaking was before the revolution for thousands of years in Iran. And the grape they used was called Shiraz grape. And there is a story that a French diplomat took that grape to France, and they started growing it there, and they called it Syrah. So Shiraz and Syrah still to this day are the same grapes, even though there is no genetic connection. They're the same grapes for making wine. And I thought because they are both, there is Persian Shiraz and Syrah is French, it can show the subject of the book, which is Persian cooking and French cooking.
Wow. So an ambassador took the grape from Persia to France, is that it?
Yeah, that's what the story is. A diplomat took it to France, and they started growing there. And the name is kind of similar, Shiraz and Syrah. So I thought it represents the book because I have two cuisines in it.
No, that's great. It's a very, very, very provocative cover, title for the book. I'm just trying to picture this ambassador with the grape in his bag, and everything.
Maybe he took seeds or something. I don't know.
Probably. So are there certain spices and flavors that you would associate with Persian and French cuisine?
Oh yeah, Persian cuisine is a part of the broad Mediterranean cuisine. So it has a lot of fresh vegetables and fresh herbs and exotic spices such as saffron and cardamom and turmeric. And so it's kind of exotic cuisine, but also very healthy. And French cuisine, of course, we all know is the most elegant and rich and wonderful cuisine that is known all over the world. And it has cooking with wine, which I like very much, and cooking wonderful sauces and the best pastry in the whole world. So they are both special cuisines in two different ways. That's why I think you bring two worlds to your kitchen.
That's great. No, it's terrific. Now I was thumbing through the table of contents, between the pictures in the book and the table of contents, when I hear all the recipes, of which there are many. How many, do you know how many recipes there are total in the book?
I think they are about 120.
120. Okay. Yeah. So we were talking about before we went live, and are there certain, it's probably not a fair question to ask because you probably are in love with all of them, but yeah. Which recipes kind of stand out for you, or would you like to highlight you think might be some of your favorites? Not that we need the whole recipe, but just hearing about maybe, what they are. If you want to give us maybe an appetizer, a main dish, a dessert, and tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, and like you said, I like all of them. That's why I, have those recipes in the book. But if I want to choose a couple of them, like a main dish from Iran, I would choose kebab because it's known. It's known in all Middle Eastern countries and also, a lot of other countries. And it's meat or chicken or fish marinated in spices and grilled to perfection and served with, served with saffron rice, and it's kind of our national food. And French cuisine is just, I think, also amazing because I love the cooking with wine. So I probably like maybe short rib bourguignon, and the desserts, French desserts are amazing. And my favorite is profiterole because it is puff pastries, and you can fill it with French vanilla ice cream if you serve in French, or you're in a French mood, or fill it with saffron and rosewater ice cream, and if you're cooking Persian. So
my wife and I went to Paris a number of years ago, and to this day she talks about the profiterole that yes. She has. It's probably her most favorite dessert ever. So I can as you were saying it, I was picturing her eating it.
And the way I wrote my recipes, I know people don't have hours to spend in the kitchen. So I wrote my recipes approachable, but also when you present it and you bring it to the table, they look so impressive. You think, people think you have to spend hours preparing them. They look very gourmet and impressive.
Well, certainly the images in the book capture that, but that's an interesting point, that the presentation, I don't want to say the presentation is as important as the dish, but certainly part of the whole experience, right?
Yes, that's important.
And while some of the dishes might seem hard to conceive, they're really not that hard to make, are they, if people just follow carefully?
No, it's like I said, they are approachable. And the directions are a step by step, and you follow it. It's not difficult. Some are easier. You can start with those. If you want to start with a gourmet salad or something easier, and then work your way up to more difficult dishes. There are still, even the dishes that are not super easy are approachable, and you can, if you follow the directions, even if you're a novice cook,
Yeah.
you can do good.
That's interesting, though, that you can start with simple things and work your way harder and harder. I guess it's almost like taking piano lessons, right? You just keep learning an instrument. You just get more complicated as you go along. Is there any? I mean, you've sort of outlined that just follow the directions carefully. But is there any advice you would give to readers that have very little cooking experience and just they're eager to learn but have never really tried it, and they might see some of the recipes and think, hey, this is a good place to start? Is there any advice you could pass on to them?
Yeah, like I said, if you're a novice cook, it starts with the easier parts, like start with salads. There are gourmet salad in the book that they're easy, but they're very gourmet. And then maybe go to soups and appetizers, and then to the main dishes. The main dishes, you can, if you look at the recipe, you can tell which one is easier. You can start with easier cooks and food and dishes, and once you get more comfortable, you can even get creative and change the recipe to your liking, or change it, or maybe write your own recipes.
I think if you're a novice, I would stick to what you say rather than ad-libbing a little. But that's interesting that you can do that. Are there any particular chefs that you would regard as inspirations to you along the way?
Oh, and not inspiration for the book, no, but a cook that I really admire.
For you. Yeah, I'm sorry, inspirations for you.
Yeah, I love a few of them, but one chef that I never miss buying her books is Ina Garten. I really love her cooking, and that's also true about Ina Garten's cooking. Some of them are very approachable, but they are so gourmet, and I almost have all her cookbooks.
I'm almost tempted to ask, what are you having for dinner tonight?
I haven't thought about it yet. I usually decide when it's like an hour, 2 hours to eating. That's when I go to the fridge and decide, okay, I'm going to make this tonight. So I don't know.
So I know you have years of experience as a chef under your belt, but this was the first time you've ever written a book, right?
Yeah.
And what was that experience like?
Well, it's interesting. I love the act of cooking, so I never thought about writing a cookbook. But some years ago, my daughter, who likes my cooking, brought a notebook, a really nice notebook, to me, and said, "Mom, please write all your recipes in this notebook for me, so I can keep it." And I started doing that, so it became like a book of all my recipes. And then some years later, she offered again and said, "Why don't you write a cookbook? Make your recipes into a cookbook." So that's how it happened. I wasn't thinking about the cookbook; it was more like my daughter's idea.
No, that's terrific. And were there any challenges that you encountered along the way, or anything that got complicated?
Yeah, no, not really. But cooking is, like they say, it's not a exact science. So sometimes when we were cooking for photographs, it didn't come out as perfect as we wanted. So we cooked it another day, that dish another day, and photographed it again. That was the only thing that we did, which is no problem. We just took the photographs again. But no challenges when I was writing or the rest of the work.
No, but what you just said, I find interesting. Just that the idea that I look at a finished product, and I'm thinking, okay, she made the dish, they took a picture, and you're saying sometimes we made a dish, they took the picture, it didn't come out right, or it didn't look like we wanted it to look, so you had to make the dish and take the picture again, right?
A few times we took photographs again of one dish because we just didn't think it really represented the dish well.
Right.
So, but no challenge really. It's a very fun process, especially if you take your time and enjoy it. It's a fun thing to do.
A great leisure activity for sure for those people who who know that for a fact, and for others who would look at your book and say, "Wow, this might be my jumping in point."
Yeah, it's a lot of work. It took me 3 to 4 years to finish it, but like I said, it's enjoyable. I really enjoyed it.
I was going to ask, are you thinking about a second cookbook? But it sounds like every recipe you have is in this one. So are you contemplating another book?
And I think, no, I think I have more recipe. Persian and French cuisine, both are broad cuisine. So I can write another book. But right now I'm excited about this one and working on, on this one. And if it's received, and it's received very well. So who knows, maybe another book later. I don't know.
Okay. So is there any final message that you'd want to pass on to readers? I mean, what do you hope they'll take away from the experience of reading this book?
Well, I think cooking is also a language of love. And if you make it something fun, it's not going to be a chore anymore. Like if you cook with your children or with your partner or a group, and eat together, it's actually a very enjoyable thing to do, to spend time. And like I said, don't get disappointed. Start with easier recipes, and then you get to cook more complicated and gourmet dishes soon.
I always come into the kitchen after all the vegetables have been chopped and everything, and I say, "Is there anything I can do to help?" And they say, "No, go away. Everything's taken."
Yeah. You have a sous chef.
I meant to point out, in the corner of our screen, you can see a cover of the book. And Mina, do you have a copy that you can hold up?
Yes.
Look.
Yes.
It's really like a beautiful, beautiful conceived book. It's a big, oversized book. It's almost a coffee table kind of book. It's really beautiful.
Yeah, actually, I hear that compliment quite a few times from people, that it's almost like a coffee table book, because not only the design and photography is beautiful, thanks to my photographer and designer, but also I have included love poems from famous Persian poets like Omar Khayyam and Hafez, or from Victor Hugo. So it's not only a cookbook, it's almost like an art book mixed with a cookbook. And it's you can enjoy it just to look at it, not, you don't have to even cook it. So.
Well, I think it's really this book is a love affair. I mean, we're just about out of time, but again, the book is SHIRAZ SYRAH.
Yes.
Thank you, Mina, for joining us today and telling us a little bit about the history, the culture, the flavors, and of course the wonderful recipes in the book. And I highly recommend that you go out and check this book out, because you'll be glad you did, believe me. So thank you again, and it's been a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you so much.
Great.